What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Things are getting incredibly exciting for the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, especially coming up in 2025, where we have 3 movies and multiple shows releasing, and then next year we get Avengers Doomsday. We're starting to learn more and more about these upcoming projects, and we're learning that Marvel has actually been throwing us some curveballs recently, switching some things up in the MCU with the stories that they're trying to tell. For example, we all thought that Doctor Strange was going to be one of the key players in Avengers Doomsday. Now we've learned from the actor who plays him, Benedict Cumberbatch, that he's not actually going to be in the movie at all. He might appear in a post-credit scene, but Doctor Strange will not be a part of the Doomsday story. But he confirmed he is returning and he will be in a lot of Secret Wars and Doctor Strange 3. Marvel also decided to shake everybody up when they announced that Robert Downey Jr. would be returning to the MCU not as Iron Man, but as the one and only Doctor Doom. And this hit the fandom in different ways. Some people really liked this, some people really didn't like it, and some people are in the middle waiting to see basically what is going to happen. But it looks like Marvel might be throwing us another curveball when it comes to Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, as a new rumor indicates that Marvel Studios might want him to stick around in the MCU after Avengers Secret Wars to continue to play Doctor Doom. Now, this kind of comes as a surprise, but obviously Doctor Doom wasn't just going to be in the MCU for 2 movies and then that's it. He's one of the biggest Marvel villains of all time. But having Robert Downey Jr. continue to play him even after Avengers Secret Wars is an interesting choice. However, we have heard a lot of things recently about Hugh Jackman sticking around for a very long time even after Avengers Secret Wars. According to reports, he's going to stick around for another decade, and they might do Deadpool and Wolverine 2 and 3. So this is definitely on Marvel Studios' radar, keeping some of these legacy actors in the MCU even after Avengers Secret Wars. We know a lot are going to be coming back. Like, we've heard all the reports about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man coming back and Marvel wanting him to team up with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Like, that all makes perfect sense, and it's the perfect opportunity to do that since we are in the Multiverse Saga. Incursions are currently happening in the MCU, and we assume that by the time we get to Secret Wars, the multiverse as a whole will be gone, and there will be remnants of many different universes left over and combined into one world or universe, and that will be Battleworld. And that's where all the crazy things can happen. We can get a bunch of different variants from a bunch of different universes, and that fan service can be fulfilled in a way that does work for the story. Right now really is the perfect opportunity to throw in as many cameos and variants that Marvel Studios wants. However, after this, they're probably not going to go so multiversal in their story for the next saga. And we know what the next saga is going to be about. It's going to be about the mutants, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. Kevin Feige has already confirmed this multiple times. He did say in the upcoming films we are going to start to see more X-Men in the MCU, but he did say that the next part of the MCU after Secret Wars is the, what he called, and I'll quote here, mutant era, end quote. And of course, he put an emphasis on the Fantastic Four. And with Doom being one of the biggest villains to the Fantastic Four, everybody, but specifically his relationship with Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Valeria Richards, he has a vast history with the Fantastic Four. So keeping Doom around to interact with the Fantastic Four and go up against them and sometimes help them makes a lot of sense. But to have Robert Downey Jr. continue to play him is a bit of a curveball. Now, this obviously is not confirmed, but if this does happen, this does have some pretty serious implications for the MCU, particularly when it comes to the story of the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. Like, Reed and Doom go to college together. They're roommates. They are intellectual rivals. There's so much that happens before Reed turns into Mr. Fantastic and Victor turns into Doctor Doom. So if Robert Downey Jr. kept playing Doctor Doom due to his age, we wouldn't necessarily be able to get those origin stories for him. Right now, he's 59 years old, which really isn't that old, but probably too old to be playing a college kid. Now, don't get me wrong, the technology is there. They can de-age him. They can make Robert Downey Jr. look like a young Victor Von Doom. They've done it with Tony Stark already and other characters as well. But Pedro Pascal is 49 years old. He's too old to do an origin story as well, unless they do the CGI thing like I just mentioned. But just by casting these 2 actors as these characters kind of already eliminates a true origin story, and we're already seeing that because Kevin Feige said we're not getting the traditional origin story of the Fantastic Four when it comes to the Fantastic Four first steps. And I would assume that it would be the same for Doctor Doom if they kept Robert Downey Jr. Now, we are going to get some backstory for Victor Von Doom in Avengers Doomsday because he's our main villain, not just of Doomsday, but of Secret Wars as well. And we have to learn more about him to really get invested. Luckily, the Russo brothers and Stephen McFeely are pretty good at that. They did an incredible job, and Christopher Marcus as well, for Avengers Infinity War, where they really introduced us to Thanos and who he was and what he was trying to do. And I have no doubt that they'll do a great job for Victor Von Doom in the MCU when it comes to introducing him in Avengers Doomsday. However, the question is now, what happens after Doomsday and Secret Wars? If Downey continues to play Doom, where does his story go from there? For example, his history with Latveria, his history with his mother and Mephisto, with Valeria, not the daughter of Reed and Sue, but his love interest very early on. Now, you can obviously do flashbacks back to college, but I think there are some stories that they should really tell, like Doom going to hell with Doctor Strange to fight Mephisto to get his mother back. In that story, you could do flashbacks to when he first took her, when Mephisto first took her to hell, just to explain what is going on currently, why him and Doctor Strange are going there. There are ways around this, but by Marvel Studios keeping Robert Downey Jr. as Doom after Secret Wars and Pedro Pascal still remaining the main Reed Richards of the MCU, with both of them being older, they're clearly not going to go into the next saga with them very young. Like we know with the X-Men, they are looking for actors who can remain in the MCU for at least 10 to 15 years. These are going to be the main characters moving forward and the face of Marvel. So it clearly seems like they are starting young with these actors. The actors they want are young. And we've heard things like they want Sadie Sink from Stranger Things to play Jean Grey, and she's 22 years old. So clearly the cast that they're looking at right now is going to be young. However, the fact that Doom and Reed are going to be a little bit older than everybody is fine. And you can have Professor Xavier be around the same age, Magneto be around the same age. Of course, some of the Avengers are going to be older as well. So it can work, but the question is this really the best move, or should they just get a new Doctor Doom and start over? Speaking of that, will this even be the same exact Doctor Doom from Doomsday and Secret Wars? Like, it very well could be another variant. Doctor Doom could die in Avengers Secret Wars, but even then, really within Marvel Comics and the MCU as well, death sometimes doesn't mean too much. Like, no one is ever really permanently dead, especially when you can reboot something, when you can reboot the multiverse, which is what they're said to be doing after Secret Wars. Now, their plans could have changed for that. We've recently heard that a lot of Marvel plans have changed. That's the reason Doctor Strange is not in Avengers Doomsday, because plans changed when Kang went out and Doom came in. And according to Benedict Cumberbatch, the new story that they have for Doomsday, Strange doesn't exactly fit in that story. So things have changed, and maybe Marvel Studios isn't going the soft reboot route anymore. And one route that they could be going is they simply fuse whatever is left at the end of Secret Wars into one universe. And if they use the power of the Beyonders and Franklin Richards and Reed does try to restore the multiverse, then that's a way to bring Doctor Doom back easily. But he doesn't necessarily have to die in Avengers Secret Wars. In fact, he doesn't die in the comics when it happens. Him and Mr. Fantastic fight at the end, but they basically both agree that Reed would have done better if he was the god of Battleworld. If he created and saved everything, he would have done better. And in the midst of their fight, Doom basically says, yes, I believe that you would have done better. And Molecule Man overhears and says, okay, well, if you both agree, I'm going to give the powers of the Beyonders to Reed now, not Doom. And when Reed resets everything, Doctor Doom lives. Literally, the last panel of the last issue of Avengers Secret Wars 2015 is Doctor Doom in his castle, removing his mask and finding out that his scars that long haunted him and he hated are gone. And the last thing it says, with Doctor Doom laughing, is everything lives. So at the end of Secret Wars in the MCU, that could very well be how it ends. They could defeat Doctor Doom, restore the multiverse, but Doctor Doom is still there. He's still the same. And that would make it pretty easy for Robert Downey Jr. to continue to play Doom in the MCU. There's a lot more stories they can tell, obviously. So it's not like it's not possible to do continuity and story-wise. They can essentially do anything they want at the end of the Multiverse Saga by restoring the multiverse to not exactly how it was before, but in doing so, creating a new main universe where all of these people exist in the same one. That makes it to where anything is possible. So that's not really a problem. The problem would be whether fans wanted a new, younger Doctor Doom in the MCU. But again, with Reed Richards already being so old, having Doom be around the same age because they're the same age in the comics makes sense. So we'll have to see what Marvel Studios is going to do after the Multiverse Saga. Heck, we have to see what they do with Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars first. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Would you like Robert Downey Jr. to continue to play Doom in the MCU after Secret Wars, or would you like a new one to come in? Leave your thoughts down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news, rumors, or leaks. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.